Mm. If I'm worse than die today, what is it I will tell you? Maybe I could share my pain. I hope it never fails you. Send down my son, let me talk to you. Let your shadow be your best friend. On this race you run, you will fall, it's true, but please don't let it be the end. Don't forget to breathe, take it easy. Every scar that you have, it will slowly heal. And that dopamine that you don't need, gonna turn your head to stone in a heartbeat. If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? Maybe I could share my pain. I hope it never fails you. You say it's funny how the Lord gives and takes joy with rain on a wedding day. If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? Keep your brothers close when I'm just a ghost. My bones are fading, time is running low. There is something, gotta let you know. Heaven's open and I'm gonna go. If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? Maybe I could share my pain. I hope it never fails you. You say it's funny how the Lord gives and takes joy with rain on a wedding day. If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? Maybe I could share my pain. I hope it never fails you. You say it's funny how the Lord gives and takes joy with rain on a wedding day. If I was to die today, what is it I would tell you? Knee deep in the yonder, 10 years old, but he's still grown. Feet cold, still bold, he told me so. I know everything's gonna change and maybe I'm naive, just too young to see distant memories blinding me. But she said, hurry up, hurry up. Drive them off. We've got places to go. We've got places to go. Oh my, hurry up. Drive them off. We've got places to go. Knee deep in the unknown. Just breathe, you fully immerse. Dry off those tears and start to rehearse. Sweet lies, goodbyes, new life. When dying, know everything's gonna change, and maybe I'm naive, just too young to see distant memories are blinding me. But she said, hurry up, hurry up. Drive them off. We got places to go. We got places to go. Oh my, hurry up, hurry up. Drive them off. We got places to go. Be deep in the unknown. And just a little longer, I'm not ready to go. Just a little longer, please. Deep in the unknown. And just a little longer, I'm not ready to go. Just a little longer, please. Deep in the unknown. She said, hurry up, hurry up. Drive them off. We've got places to go. We've got places to go. My. Hurry up. Drive them off. We've got places to go. Knee deep in the unknown. Time changes a song, the circle of life. We rise and we fall. Don't be afraid. The love that we share will remain in the grave. Scars don't blind me. Silver linings, I wear them proudly on my sleeve. And we come from a past full of broken glass, and stains have turned the color of lies. 'Cause you have to dance in the fire to know that it burns. You have to fall in the river to wash out the dirt. Blood under the bridge. Blood under the bridge. Every time I tie on my shoes, I'm thinking of you and everything we've been through. Even though it's me without you, one thing remains true, our love will shine through. 'Cause you have to dance in the fire to know that it burns. You have to fall in the river to wash out the dirt. Blood under the bridge, blood under the bridge. You have to fall and get up, even though it may hurt. You have to lose a little value to know what you're worth. Blood under the bridge, blood under the bridge. Yeah. I have been burned by the fire, and now I'm dancing around the flames until these ashes burn desire. Let it keep burning just the same. I have been burned by the fire, yeah. And now I'm dancing around the flames until these ashes burn desire. Let it keep burning just the same. Let it keep burning just the same, just the same. Let it keep burning just the same. Let it burn, let it burn. Let it burn, let it burn.
The Current is public media made possible thanks to member support.